at the movies with Tim Sika on this Friday, June 6th. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim. Happy
Hi.
birthday.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the funny birthday song you sent me.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that wild? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
Probably not.
appreciate it.
I was going to say probably not something you're used to, you're used to receiving, but I thought it would be fun to send.
Very, very cute. All right. You have some movies for us, and you just got back from Los Angeles. Am I right?
I'm in Los Angeles in an undisclosed location doing
Oh,
this. Yes,
okay.
I'm here for an event that I'm going to be presenting at later this evening, but not before I get to talk to one of my favorite people about movies.
Oh,
So,
thank you. And
yeah,
thank you for joining us all the way from Hollywood. This is
yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I love it here. It's yes, if you're into movies and you love movies, I
Mhm.
mean, Hollywood is the place to be, or to hang out, or at least to visit if you're not working here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's jump into the first one so you can get back to rubbing elbows with the famous people in Southern California. But you
Okay.
have The Life of Chuck.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, The Life of Chuck. This is one of those movies, Kim. I wished before I wanted to say to you, like, this was a movie I wished I could have seen again before I banked any review of it,
Okay.
because, well, I'm going to explain that. But
Mhm.
so anyway, I saw it a few weeks ago, but I also was able to see it again last night at the Vista Theater, which is one of the theaters that Quentin Tarantino refurbished, and
Oh,
a theater that just shows movies on film. Anyway, to make a long story short, they showed this, so I got a chance to see it again, and I'm so glad, because it confirmed it confirmed my original opinion of it, but I wasn't sure that that's really what I thought. And I'll explain that anyway. I say this because it's a very unusual movie, this Life of Chuck. Um, and I think the secret of allowing the film to make its impact upon the viewer, and I'm saying this especially to any of my fellow film critics out there, but the secret of allowing this film to make its intended impact upon the viewer is for the viewer to approach it like, and I don't even know if this is possible, like it's the first movie that you've ever seen. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I say it because the structure is really unusual. I'm going to be using that adjective a lot, I think, talking about this movie. The structure is unusual. I think it's fair to say, well, no, it is. Yeah, I can say this.
mhm.
The story begins at the ending and ends at the beginning, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So right there, the viewers, or at least this viewer, you're slightly being stood upon your ear. Okay, so what it's about? It's the title. It's about the life of Chuck. It's about this guy's life. His name is Chuck Krantz. He's played by Tom Hiddleston, and he's this ordinary guy, navigating the complexities of his life and what his legacy might be. It's based on a Stephen King novella of the same name, and the story unfolds as the world's facing annihilation.
Mm.
And, while the world's slowly crumbling, yeah, it's a very intense beginning.
Okay.
Very intense beginning. And the depiction here of how it might look, when the world starts to just kind of like rapidly disintegrate, is frighteningly realistic. The internet keeps going down,
Mm.
California implodes. Anyway, a school teacher played by
Why do they always do that with California? Why do they always hit my Golden Gate Bridge? They always,
yeah.
California's the first to go.
I know. I don't know what that is. Well, isn't it like the urban legend? Because it's like, it's where it's geographically located. It's going to
Yeah.
fall off into
Mhm.
the ocean or whatever.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
when there's an earthquake, it's gonna, yeah, whatever. But
Mhm.
anyway, so this teacher played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, he becomes obsessed with these inexplicable advertisements appearing around town on televisions and on billboards that are promoting this guy named Chuck. And things keep popping up, like thanking Chuck for a great 39 years. And you're going, what the, mostly throughout the lion's share of the movie, you're going to yourself, what the hell is going on? What am I watching? Somebody wrote that the movie lacked tonal connective tissue, and I kind of think it does in a way. The film's going in reverse. There's some dazzling dance sequences sprinkled throughout the movie, if you can believe that. But I'm going, my mind isn't making any sense of this. and yet, intermittently, cumulatively and retrospectively, there was something that was so powerful about what I was watching, something so deeply emotional that had something to do, I think, with living, living rightly, living fully, and living authentically. I'm reading this book now. It's called The New Earth, and a passage in it just struck me. And I read it closely after I watched this movie for the first time, which I think epitomizes what this movie about. And it said in the book, there was a quote, that the secret of life is to die before you die and find out that there is no death. When I read that, I went, oh my God, that's the life of Chuck. That's what the life of Chuck is about. Anyway, this is a movie
Oh,
I
wait a minute.
cannot
Let's roll back. To
Okay,
die
let's roll.
before you die, so you can
Yeah.
realize there is no death?
Yes. And I think yes. And you want to question me on that? Like, what
Well,
does that mean?
yeah, kinda.
I think to die is to die metaphorically.
Mhm.
So you have some sense that, maybe life isn't as scary as you think it might be, that it isn't an ending necessarily. It just may be, I don't know what do the physicists say, a recombining of elements or whatever.
Sure.
I think it's this notion of when you can face, maybe when you can just basically face a fear, that somehow you can, you can pass that, you can get past that to realize, like, oh, I really didn't need to be afraid at all. It's just like, it's like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, when she said, what was the line at the end of the movie where she says, oh, I should have, like, figured this out, or no, the Scarecrow goes, oh, you should have just told her. And the witch says, no, if I would have told her, she wouldn't have believed me. She would have had to learn it for herself, kind of thing. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, that's my brain going on. Anyway, I love this movie so much. I think it's one of the best of the year. It's the best I've seen so far. It's kind of haunting me. It's very special. I just the uniqueness and the specialness of it all, it demands that it be seen. And I want to tell people, go see it, but don't try to figure it out. Just watch it. And trust me, I mean, I it it's an incredible emotional experience. This movie is The Life of Chuck.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful film.
Wow.
And I'm predicting Oscar nominations all the
Yeah.
way around for this movie. Yeah.
Okay. The next one, by the way, that sounds amazing. You've got me. You got me on the hook for the life of Chuck.
I got you on Chuck.
That's right. The next one is I Don't Understand You.
Yeah, and I don't understand this movie either.
Uh-oh.
What is not some sort of masterpiece, or maybe not even a good movie, is this next one. It's called I Don't Understand You, which looked kind of promising if preview trailers mean anything, which of course they rarely, if ever, do mean anything. But anyway, this film's being marketed as a comedy horror film, and it stars Andrew Rannells, who's in there. He's on the left in the poster there, and Nick Kroll. They play this gay couple who want very desperately to adopt a baby. And I'm going, this little plot thingy that they just throw in there into the background. I don't even know why it's there, why they even needed it, but because the thrust of the story has this couple played by Andrew Rannells and Nick Kroll vacationing in Italy, but not understanding one lick of Italian. It's hence the title, I Don't Understand You. And they wind up at this bizarre, out of the way restaurant run by this really quirky elderly woman who doesn't speak English. She just speaks Italian, where, how can I say this without giving anything away? Where many deaths, accidental and deliberate, occur. Okay. And there's no beating around the bush about this one. I found it unfunny, which is death for a comedy, stupid, contrived, smug, unrealistic, outrageous, and just plain ridiculous. I never believed for a second that any of this could actually occur. I couldn't understand why these guys weren't at least Googling to try to understand what these people were saying. It's like they were clueless. The setup for this took nearly the first 48 minutes of the movie. It just took forever. And then it was followed by this series of the most ridiculous, unmotivated, and silly bits of nonsense that you're ever likely to see in a movie. And more disturbing. And maybe it was just more annoying to me, was the fact that there was also this whiff of immorality about this movie as well, in that all these killings that occur are actually rewarded at the conclusion, and other people are blamed for having committed them who were innocent. And I'm guessing that the filmmakers really thought this was hilarious, but I found it kind of contemptuous of the audience, and
Oh,
nasty, especially considering that the people on the receiving end of being stabbed or bludgeoned to death, they were not bad people. So
oh,
this is just a misguided, off the rails
mm.
failure, in my opinion, both as comedy and as horror. And unless you're feeling desperate, I recommend everybody within earshot to just skip it.
That's
I
one
don't
thing you don't
understand
want a
this
movie
movie.
critic to say. Misguided failure. Ouch.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. It's an LGBTQ plus movie, and it's Pride
Sure.
Month, and I hate to these movies, but this one is no, no,
Sometimes a horror movie, and this is not my genre, but
yeah,
I'm not attracted to horror movies,
yeah,
but maybe they were going for that. It's so like
ridiculous,
ridiculous that
yeah,
it's funny. Like it's
yeah,
so. I mean, it could never happen. So then
yeah.
obviously the murders and the brutality, then becomes so ridiculous that it becomes funny. You
Yeah,
know.
well, obviously, I
Mhm.
think that's what they were going for, but
Mhm.
I couldn't cross that
No.
bridge. I
No.
just couldn't get over, even though, and it didn't help that it almost took like an hour for it to actually like get into gear. And by that time, I was like, okay, this better be good, and it
Mhm.
wasn't. It just was. It just kept getting more and more ridiculous. The actions of these two guys were like, I mean, and they were intelligent guys. They were obviously, they were prosperous, they were successful in whatever it was they did.
Yeah.
Maybe it even said what they did. I don't even remember. But it's like, what is this? What am I supposed to take away? Okay, I'm waiting for the laughs. I wish I could find this funny. I just, oh, no, no.
Ouch. That sounds
Crummy
painful.
movie. Crummy movie. Crummy movie.
So it's another horror movie. This one is called The Ritual. At least it
Yeah.
looks horror to me.
Yeah, it is horror. Actually, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking it's sort of like, yeah, I think we got nothing but, yeah, horror movies this week, or
Oh.
mostly horror movies. Yeah, this is called The Ritual. It's an exorcism drama, surprise, surprise. And it's
Mhm.
based on a true story that supposedly dramatizes one of the most infamous and extensively documented exorcisms in American history. It was
What?
a 1928 case, 1928 exorcism of a woman named Emma Schmidt. It was one of the few cases officially recognized by the Catholic Church, and actually the one that inspired the William Peter Blatty novel, The Exorcist, followed by, of course, William Friedkin's subsequent film.
Mhm.
So this, in a way, comes before all that. But anyway, it's not as good. But it's directed by David Medell, and it stars Al Pacino. That's a plus. And Dan Stevens, that's another plus, as these two priests presiding over this exorcism. I think it more or less does the job of, from what I could tell and from research I did, of representing the most thoroughly documented case of demonic possession in American history. But it's a big but, because of the plethora of exorcism movies that have followed 1973's The Exorcist, there's not a whole lot that is new here, or maybe
Mhm.
seen as particularly, I mean, one of the things about the original Exorcist and subsequent Exorcist movies is that they're particularly vile and shocking. I mean, in this one, yes, there's lots of vomiting, there's lots of eye rolling, and guttural
Mhm.
noises coming from the woman possessed. But the film, I think, in endeavoring to be as faithful as possible to the facts of this case, plays it very carefully, and so really close to its chest, that the movie, weirdly enough, even in graphically depicting all this horrible stuff that this possessed woman goes through, it's really ugly stuff, it never really takes off, and it
Oh.
should, right? It never really flies. And worse for the film, and this was my take, the actors, with the exception of Pacino, who underplays everything to really good effect, the actors are directed such that they appear in some of their hokey line deliveries to be struggling against what they may have personally perceived as the ridiculousness of some of the dialogue.
Oh, no.
So it's a sincere film. It's, an allegedly accurate one, but it's unremarkable, especially when viewed in the context of exorcism film history. I mean, if you believe in exorcisms and the devil and Satan and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, you might just be in the bag for it because it plays to that belief
Mm-hmm.
very strongly. But I'm usually on the side of science with all this. I just think it's things that are unexplained and that have a scientific explanation and not a demonic one. But anyway, that's the ritual.
See it or skip it.
Oh, I would say skip it.
Skip it. Okay. Well, I mean, I was going to skip it anyway, but there are people out there that really like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is called Dangerous Animals.
Yeah, it's another horror movie. Look at this. Oh my God. And if you like your horror unpleasant, this may very well be your horror cup of tea. It's the title, Dangerous Animals. It refers to two things: killer sharks, number one, and number two, the antagonist of the film, probably the most dangerous animal of them all in this movie, is this human being. This actor is Jay Courtney, and he plays this psychopathic monster who kidnaps. I hope you're sitting down. He kidnaps unsuspecting women. He takes them out to sea on his boat. Then he hoists them on this crane. Then he dangles them above the water. Then at the right moment, when a shark appears, he lowers these women into the water where they're torn apart by these sharks.
That's
in
lovely.
real time. And but here's the other kicker. While all this is happening, he's filming them, and it's like a major turn on for him.
Ew.
So he films them and later uses these videos, for his own satisfaction. Yeah, let's put. So it's
gross.
all really it's really disturbing.
That whole thing sounds gross to me. Like, why would anyone even want to watch this? Let alone pour money into making something like this.
Well,
do you remember that old show called what was it called? Help me, Criminal Minds. Remember that show?
Yeah, yes.
And also sometimes SVU, the crime show in New York, right? Law and Order SVU.
Okay.
Sometimes the plot lines on both were so disturbing that you get I would get maybe 10 minutes into it and think, why am I watching this? Why am I going to be thinking about this? Why do I want my mind in this dark place? There's no reason for it. It's not like we have some epiphany at the end where you learn something. It's just to wallow in this dark nastiness.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I mean, why is there suddenly this massive resurgence in horror movies? I don't know where that's coming from. I think it has something to do. I don't know. I was interviewing a director recently who was, I can't remember the film we were talking about. It was a horror movie. And I asked him about that. I said, almost like, I posed him a question basically based around what you just said, why in the world? And he said something. I don't know. I don't want to misquote him. He said something about which I found it was interesting. He says, when people really watch this stuff in some twisted kind of way, that's my take. He said they somehow feel more alive. Oh. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And I thought what he said was really, really interesting, and he actually put it in a very beautiful way. I'm misquoting it, but I thought, well, I never looked at it that way. It made me think of that when you said that, because I'm with you here. I'm going, what the hell? Why? I mean, I know why I'm watching this one, because I'm supposed to for professional reasons. So but and here's the thing about this one: it's a really, really unpleasant movie, but as a successful survival horror film, the first 10 minutes are terrifyingly great. The direction is solid, the look of the film is polished, the sound design is as unnerving as the goings on screen. What's particularly terrifying about the movie too, and I like the way they did this and they positioned all this stuff, that aside from the definitely sick content, is that all this gruesomeness is going on in the midst of folks offshore who are like partying, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
clearly within in some sort of earshot, but they're just far enough away where they're out of reach enough to be oblivious to the horrors taking place just a stone's throw away. And you're almost wishing, like during the movie, like, God, I hope somebody here. I mean, what the? But this guy is so clever and he's so evil. Anyway,
Mm,
it's an Australian film,
okay.
and the best way to sum it up is that it's sort of Jaws by way of Saw, by way of The Silence of the Lambs, by way of this. You know what? It reminded me of this controversial 1960 British horror movie called Peeping Tom, which was about a serial killer who murders women while using a portable film camera to record their dying expressions of being slowly stabbed to death, and then
Oh,
he made snuff films out of these filmed killings and then would use them for his own self-pleasure. It was similar to that. My only knock against it as effective horror was that the escape attempts from this nutbag guy from his boat, they got a tad repetitious. But other
mhm.
than that, I think if you're a fan of grisly horror, this is one you may want to check out. And if you can believe it, this movie had its premiere on May 17th at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh,
So obviously horror is so in. The genre also seems to have crossed over to France and its prestigious film festival. Oh, one of the other things I like too is the lead gal. Her name is an Australian actress, Hassie Harrison.
mhm.
She's an awesome female protagonist, and she gives out as much as she takes from this psycho guy, and that's kind of satisfying. I mean, she is relentless in trying to escape and making sure that this guy gets what he deserves. I
Yeah,
like that, but if you're squeamish at all, skip it.
yeah.
I think it's a good horror movie, but okay, am I recommending? I'm recommending it to horror fans. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
this is a movie, like, I am so far away from ever including like, there's not my
I
finger doesn't
know.
even hover over the click, like, I'm just gone.
No, I
Um,
know, and every time, when I'm looking at what I need to see, the first thing lately, what I do is I'm going, okay, how many horror movies are there? And then I'll look at them and I'll go, okay, like I did for this week, and then I
yeah.
kind of I go to the press notes and I read the log line, and I'm just going, okay, when I watch this, I'm just going to make sure I'm, sufficiently prepared because
Yeah.
I have trouble too. I mean, I really do.
Oh,
And the older I get, the harder it is to dissociate from what I'm watching.
totally. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna move on to something completely different, and that is Tim's classic movie wreck of the week, which
Yeah.
is Sweet Charity from
There it is.
1969. Look at that.
What? Yeah, this is one of those movies I could talk about for hours and forever, actually. Now, I'm unsure if this would be classified as an accepted classic per se. It has a very notorious reputation.
Oh,
It famously flopped back in 1969 when it was released, and for whatever reasons that even in retrospect, still to me anyway, they make no sense, because it was an attempt to do a lot of things, which I'll try to explain. But Sweet Charity starred Shirley MacLaine in probably her most underseen and most underappreciated movie performance. She plays a prostitute with a heart of gold looking for love, and this is a musical. It's a famous musical. The property first had its origins as a black and white movie written and directed by Federico Fellini that starred his wife, Giulietta Messina. It was called Nights of Cabiria from 1957. Then that material, that film, that black and white film, was adapted into a Broadway musical starring Gwen Verdon called Sweet Charity, and that was directed by Bob Fosse. And from there, it came to this screen musical adaptation, also directed by Bob Fosse, making his motion picture directorial debut, right? And at the time the movie was released, it was considered innovative. The dance numbers in particular were shot and edited in ways that eventually were incorporated into MTV videos. This film was before MTV, before quote unquote editing became a thing in musicals. And when I saw it as a child in 1970, I was so dazzled. I had never seen anything quite like it. Certainly never saw a screen musical that looked this way, that felt this way, that came across in this kinetic, exciting way. Every frame seemed to kind of pulsate with a kind of energy and verve that just it came pouring across the screen into the audience. And Bob Fosse who was making his movie directorial debut, he seemed to have this instinctual understanding of cinema, even though he had never directed a movie before, what cinema could do, as well as a pronounced love for cinema and what a movie camera could do and what that camera was capable of, where the camera went. I think this is a masterpiece. I think it holds up extraordinarily well. At the time, it seemed like it was a serious attempt to take the old-fashioned Hollywood musicals of the 40s, 50s, and 60s and then modernize them, because it's very hip, it's very hot, it's very sizzling, and I think ahead of its time, which is probably why it flopped. Maybe audiences didn't know what to do with it. The dance numbers alone, oh my God, that shot right there. All of the musical numbers, staged, edited, and choreographed by Fosse, make the movie worth seeing. Fosse's choreography is so unbelievably brilliant and superb and exhilarating to watch and to behold and to experience. I love this movie. I think it deserves an across-the-board critical reevaluation. And like I say, this is one of those movies I could talk about for hours and forever. And it's streaming on Amazon. Oh, that number, that's a number where the three friends who are in the movie, because it's G-rated, they're dance hall hostesses, but we know that they're prostitutes because it's just their dance hall hostess, and they're talking to each other, wanting to get out of what they're doing, and the song is called "There's Got to Be Something Better Than This," in which where they talk about breaking out of this and trying to do something respectable, and the dance number for this is just, I have, just telling you about it, talking to you about it right now, I really literally have goosebumps.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, and it's streaming on Amazon, so people can check it out. It's Bill Condon's favorite movie too. Bill Condon he directed the screen version of Dreamgirls, and he was one of the adapters of the screen version of Chicago. This is his favorite movie too. Oh yeah, and that's a scene where Charity Hope Valentine, played by Shirley MacLaine, she kind of meets up with a movie star whose girlfriend is kind of like ticked at him, and he picks her up, takes her to a nightclub, and then takes her home, and she's like, I can't believe I'm here. If I told my friends about this, they wouldn't believe it. And then she sings a song, If My Friends Could See Me Now, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. I love this movie. It
sounds like this movie has some of the songs became famous that we would know. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, If My Friends Could See Me Now. There's a number of them. Where Am I Going? There's a bunch of songs. Yeah. Oh, Hey Big Spender is a big hit from this.
All right.
Yeah. So great movie. Great movie. I highly recommend it. So.
All right, we'll do a quick recap of your reviews today. The Life of Chuck. You say this is an unusual movie. The structure has the story starting from the end and working backward. You said it's powerful and emotional. You love this movie. It's still haunting you. You call it one of the best of the year. And you have big Oscar predictions for The Life of Chuck, which you say demands to be seen.
Yes, and demands to be seen more than once too.
Okay, all right.
Oh my God, do you hear all that? I think
I do.
I'm in an Airbnb, and I guess they just decided, because they probably knew I was going to be talking with you, to do some kind of, like, I don't know, drilling or something. Right. I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Drill baby drill. No, that's
drill
okay.
Baby drill.
I don't understand you. It's is the movie. You say this is an unfunny, stupid, contrived, outrageous, ridiculous, and the best of all, it's a misguided failure. And you say skip it. The Ritual. You said this movie is based on a supposedly true story from 1928. But there's not a whole lot new going on here. The actors seem to be struggling to take the dialogue seriously. You say The Ritual, skip it. And then you say the dangerous animals, you're safer in the water. That the first 10 minutes are terrifyingly great, but the content is sick. And if you like gore, you said you might like this. If you're squeamish, skip it. So you recommend it only for the people who like the bloody, yucky horror movies.
Right, for those who love this kind of horror film.
Yeah. And then Sweet Charity is your classic movie recommendation. You said it was a famous flop, but you actually think it was a masterpiece with wonderful musical songs that we know today and great dance sequences. And you said it's streaming on Amazon, and that is Sweet Charity. Yeah,
that is Sweet Charity, and it's Shirley MacLaine. And especially, if you're a Shirley MacLaine fan, you will fall. You will fall all over in love with her again after you see her in this movie. She is just superb. Yeah. So there we go.
So good. At the Movies with Tim Sika. Enjoy your time in Southern California. Have a blast, and we'll see you next week,
Thank.
my
All
friend.
right. Thanks, Kim, and happy birthday. I hope you're going to do something
Thank
fun for yourself.
you.